Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond the Tool Belt, episode 281. I am your host, Ty Bacher. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition. Today, we have another special guest. Stay tuned, and we will be back after our short intro from our sponsor.
TC Bacher. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutter, solar. TC Bacher.
Welcome to Behind the Tool Belt, where the stories are bold, the conversations are real, and the insights come to you live, raw, and uncut. Every week, host Ty Bacher sits down to bring you the stories, the struggles, the lessons learned, and the wins. No filters, no scripts, just the truth. Please welcome your host of Behind the Tool Belt, Ty Bacher.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Behind the Tool Belt, the podcast where we dive into the minds of industry leaders who are changing the game in construction, contracting, and beyond. Today, we have another special guest, my friend, David Bruno.
Hi, Bacher and Vic. Good seeing you gentlemen again. It's been a minute. So this is good stuff. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute. I mean, it's got to be over a year, right? Since you've been on the show?
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Yeah. Normally you come on a couple times a year, with whatever reason that is. I mean, obviously you're one of my favorite guests on the show. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, always.
We always have good conversations. Right?
Yeah.
It's always good stuff.
Yeah. And you were an earlier adopter. I mean, you were probably one of our first in studio guests, outside of like Chris Markey or Mark Jones or somebody, but you got to be one of the very first ones to come into the office. You and Mike came in that one time, I think, right?
Yes.
That was down at the old shop in the old studio. And we've always had a great conversation, usually pertaining to, marketing and stuff like that. And you're always great to have around and pick your brain about ideas and stuff and market trends and all that good stuff. And, when we say, industry trailblazers and game changers and stuff, you've always been in the marketing and sales space. So that's where you kind of get rolled into the fold.
Yeah.
For us, you've helped us along the way, several different times and potentially, in the future as well. And now that you're with a different company, you're with ABC 27 for those that maybe haven't seen you on here or following you on social media. And please do, because David kicks out a lot of content. He hosts these events. These, what are they called?
Business Professionals of Harrisburg and Central PA. That's my networking group. I've been doing that. I pretty much started that thing, like I told you before, when I came here from California. Yeah. I just started to get my name out there and so that people could see who I was. And that's been about 9 years now. Really? And so it's up to about 3,500 members on Facebook and another 3,500 on LinkedIn. And then we got enough people engaged now to where those monthly networking mixers draw about anywhere from 35 to 45 people on average. And so I use those again for personal branding for me, but also to take a small business or somebody who's got a showroom or events coming up, they can just benefit from some additional eyeballs on what they have going on. So they're fun. They're good.
They are fun. You hosted one here with us.
Yep.
And is that what's the after hours mixers?
That's what those are.
That's what that is. Okay.
And I just rotate them. I try and do Harrisburg, Lancaster, York. We just rotate them. And again, if a business has a showroom, like last month, I did it at Good All Pools and Spas up there in Mechanicsburg. It's a big season for them. Obviously, they're going to be having a big Memorial Day push coming up. And so it was good just to kind of put some eyeballs there and get some engagement, some conversations happening. Yeah. Let some people who may not have been familiar with what it is they have going on there to just kind of see what they're all about and engage with the ownership and things. Kind of like what we did here. People see, hey, we've got a new sales office here. This is what our people look like. This is what we got going on behind the scenes. Right. It does change the perception of a business when you do that.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, I think it's very important to get out of your shell a little bit and open up your establishment, right? And bring other entrepreneurs or leaders or salespeople to your place. But I think it's also important to get out and get into other, the whole networking scene. And I applaud you for creating that space for people, because those that were here get it. I could tell that they were here and nobody was like pushy, because there's books out there how to network, and Story Brand talks about it. I think that's Donald Miller has a nice book out there, and there's a couple books out there about networking, right? And I've read them, of course, over the years and stuff. And it's like, I've been to networking events where people are just so pushy, and this is what I do, and you should use our product, and just come right out and just like vomit all over you, opposed to, like going there and introducing you to other people, and and just kind of like modestly, introduce who you are, what you do, exchange contact information, but not even right away, just kind of like more so just trying to create relationships and that network, right? Because we've talked about it before, your network is your net worth. But what you've done with that, you've taken it to a whole nother level, and the consistency, 9 years, that's a long time to host, a networking event like that, or events, I guess. So how many would you say that you've done?
Well, what's happened is I've had those groups that I've managed on those online platforms for that number of years. The networking events themselves have finally just come to fruition like the past 3 years.
Okay.
So I've been doing about 3 years worth, because it took the group to grow to a certain point. And then when the membership is such, then people start to say, hey, we got a number of members in this group. How do we go about, do you do any networking events? Are there any opportunities to meet people in person? And so then it comes around, and then it just continues to grow. First, it starts out, there might be 10 or 15 people. And then it just grows now to a more consistent 30 to 30 plus people.
Do you think it's the same people that are showing up, or is it a mix?
It's a mix.
Okay.
There are some people who obviously travel from York up to Harrisburg, and from York to Lancaster, and vice versa. But then there are some that, hey, it's kind of out of the area, which is fine, because then we get a new influx of people as well. So which makes it definitely worthwhile. What
do you think the biggest thing that somebody would get out of going to one of your events?
You learn about a new business, and you get to have that engagement with people, because now that I've come to know a fair amount of the people at the events, you know me, I'm a facilitator of making sure that everybody knows who everybody else is and what's going on, and trying to see where there are some synergies for people to work together, and where they can intermingle with some things they have going on. Even from a competitive standpoint, like we were talking about earlier, there's still some opportunities where times of year, seasonality, focuses of even the industry competitor might be a little bit different at that point in time, and you can team up with somebody else.
Definitely.
So that's kind of what it's about, where I can see those sort of things coming into play. I'll make sure that I introduce those people. Now, do I do that to everybody? No, I just, because there's some people we work with, but there are more that I trust more than others. And those are people that I'll put out there. And I'm sure you've seen me do that as well. So that's kind of the way I operate.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it's just, I've shifted some of the way that I engage with people over the course of a number of years, even from when you and I first met.
Right.
I'm more of a relationship oriented person now. Because when it comes to the business, like when you mentioned ABC 27, great company. I think there's a lot of value there, but for every award that I can say, oh, hey, we've got this, we've got these partnerships. We were number one here, or number two. My competitors can kind of come in there with something else that we might not be as strong in. So it's not about that. I view it as more about, hey, let's find out what the businesses or the people that I'm engaging with are about. What are they really trying to do? What's important to them? And how can I play into that? Not go in there and say, we're all this. This is why you should do this with me. And half the time, not even know what's going on and what I'm trying to engage with. So I've taken a different approach. And that's the same thing with these networking events. When I network, I don't go there with any set thing in mind to say, I'm going to talk to X amount of people. I just want to have some conversations. And over the course of these meetings, I'll see them. They'll see me there more often. We engage, we talk. And sooner or later, if people know, like, and trust you, they'll say, hey, let's work on a project together, or maybe somebody else I'd like to introduce you to. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. What do you think the biggest thing is that you've actually gotten out of hosting them?
Hey, are you trying to build an audience, to create engaging content, and to drive views? Well, then the Audience Connection podcast is just for you. I'm Lydia Chan, host of the Audience Connection podcast, where I talk to expert storytellers and leaders from brands like BuzzFeed, Ancestry, The Trade Desk, and many more about how to create content that truly connects and drives engagement. Every other week, each guest brings their insights and practical advice on how you can make your content go further. So if that's important to you and your job, click the link in the show notes and follow the Audience Connection podcast today.
Just it's learning from me. There are a number of those businesses. Some of those are my clients that I've worked with in the past or that I'm working with currently. But there's a number of those that they really don't do anything with me. And that's fine too. It's just a platform to help them out. And I learn about some of these other businesses.
Yeah.
So some of those I'm not familiar with at all. Some of them I've just seen recently, engaged them and said, hey, would you like to put some eyeballs on what you have going on here? And then it just helps me to learn.
Yeah.
What does that space look like? Where can I maybe impact that from not only this, but something else that we might be doing or
Right.
people that I know that might not be aware of these businesses as well. So that's kind of that's what I get from it.
Right on. No, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. What do you think the biggest mistake companies make when trying to scale their marketing efforts?
The biggest mistake, I think you can spread yourself too thin. There's so many places to be seen now. I mean, when you're looking at marketing, I remember it used to be, newspapers, TV, radio, billboards.
Right.
And now you've got the phones, you've got the technology, the devices. There's so many places to be seen, and you want to be seen as many of those places as you can. And the scaling portion is, there's only so many things you can do at one point, but that's wherein lies the challenge, but that's wherein lies the fun of it as well.
Right. Just trying to figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you just surround yourself with the right people that you trust and know that you believe can get you to where you want to go and do the things you want to do. And and then you just kind of work it out that way.
No, that's good. That was a great response to that. And do you think that somebody could actually over market themselves? Do you think that's possible?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's too much of, a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I notice that there are some times when I look at myself as a consumer, when I'm looking at things, I can tell how it goes. And then sometimes, again, when you're looking at digital marketing, you have so many impressions that you want to serve. And if the pacing is off, I can tell sometimes when I see things, I can tell, pacing was off. They're just trying to feed as many impressions as you can, because when I look at an article and it's the same advertiser for the entire article. Yeah. To me, that can be a little bit of overkill at times.
Yeah. Do you think people suffer from viewer fatigue?
I do believe that's a real thing as well.
Yeah.
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 And it's kind of, I even view that when I do my social media. I even view that from, do I just want to put business posts on there constantly?
Yeah. Right.
Or do I want to mix it in there with a visit with my dad, out there on the golf course or, being at a baseball game or something like that. I just mix it in because I think that the viewer fatigue is real. Yeah. And it can be on a social media side. It can be on a marketing side, on campaigns you're running. It can be the same thing. Too much is, and if you just mix it up and let people know some other things you're doing, like the things you're doing here with a lot of the community engagement. Yeah. It's not just all about, hey, these are the services we're doing for our customers. These are things we're doing for the community as well. And that kind of breaks it's like a pattern interrupt, if you will. And it just shows some people some other things that you have going on besides just your core business. Yeah, right. No. And that's a good point that you just brought up there towards the end, getting involved with the community and stuff like that. It's but I think the thing that you got to be careful of is, as heavily as we are committed to our community and stuff, we don't want people to not know what it is that we do either. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Like the first thing on our website can't be that, we help less fortunate people. Correct. Right. Because we are a roofing company. Absolutely. We're a roofing company that's heavily invested in our community and stuff, but we got to just make sure that we've been around long enough, but I've gone onto people's websites already that almost appeared to be like a culinary school when actually they sell paint products. You know what I mean? Like they have this big picture of their building and it looks like a restaurant. And I didn't even know what was going on. It's like, and it was a lesson for me to view this like, oh, wow, because we're so heavily engaged with the community that I don't want people to not know what it is that we do and make that the focal point, because it is nice what we do. And a lot of people appreciate what it is that we do. But I always try to make sure, if we're hosting an event, it's we are a roofing company, that this has been the vehicle for us
first and foremost, if it wasn't for the roofing industry, we wouldn't be able to do
what you do for the community and do these other events.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. And what we've also have tried to do too is share other people's stages, right? Whether it's a virtual stage or their business, their place of business, their locations. And most recently, this time with our food drive this year, we were actually going out to other businesses and asking them if they want to participate in our food drive this year. And the benefit and the value in that is, it's like, yeah, of course, we're trying to accumulate as much, non-perishable foods and health and hygiene products and stuff like that. But we want them to share our stage as well, and vice versa. So, they'll get a copy of their link on our website and things like that, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
We'll post that we were there, we dropped bin off. Thank you and Primo Pizza had already filled, their container that we put out there. So it's kind of like we're plugging them the whole time and wanting them to be motivated to want to help us, because we've discovered too, because the first 2 years, like this is something like we kind of tried to do on our own, thinking that more people would just come out of the woodwork. And it's like, it's almost like they were waiting for like an invitation, a personal invitation from us. Like, hey, would you like to help us in this food drive? And it's like, now the approach that we're taking now is the same way that we kind of do marketing. And this from working with us is that we kind of do the fishnet approach and we just throw the fishnet out there and we kind of want to see what sticks. So now we're kind of doing that approach with our food drive this year. Like, we're throwing the fishnet out there to everybody, because ultimately and truly and sincerely, like, we are trying to make the biggest impact this year for these school students. And the reason why we're doing it June 27th is because that's when school's out. Most people will donate stuff around the holidays. Everybody's caring, everybody's giving, but nobody thinks about when these, and that's what goes through my head is the students, these children that are still in school that, come from, not such a great situation, that usually get a meal or two during school season, but then school lets out during the summer months. That's when food pantries actually start to dry up. And I'm throwing that out there just to encourage anybody that, if you ever in a caring, giving way and you're familiar with a local food pantry or anything like that, just keep in mind, not saying don't donate over the holidays. That's just as important as any time of year. But I think most importantly is over the summer months when the kids and students are out of school. That's when families are probably struggling the most. Just in my opinion, but anyhow, getting back to the viewer fatigue, I definitely wanted to plug the food drive, but not to that extent. But anyhow, so the other thing about viewer fatigue is that also those that create content suffer from content fatigue.
Well, see, one of the things that when I look at that, one of the things that I think about it, there are a number of platforms, there are a number of places to market, number of tactics and techniques and these sort of things. However, within all those, it's the content, it's the creativity, it's the engagement part that's, you can say, okay, you're going to see me so many places, but what are we going to fill that with? What's going to resonate with the people we're trying to, and what type of messaging are we trying to do? Yes. And that's where I think a lot of things get lost. Yeah. Is that we just kind of set things up, you just let it ride. Yeah. And then eventually it there's a diminishing return on these things. So to refresh and make the most of these platforms that you're on and the different things that you're doing is big and critical. And, to your point as well, when you do these charitable things, you don't want that to be at the top to where people that say, okay, you do a lot of charity stuff, but what is it that you actually, what do you actually do over there?
Right. We have to install roofs in order to be able to do these things.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Right. So no, it's great. I mean, without the community, we wouldn't be who we are today. And that's why I know that's why, we do the amount of stuff that we do, but we also kind of complement our marketing and branding. Like I said, sharing stages with other local businesses. It's kind of like a form of networking, not at the scale that you do it, but just at a different level, I guess, of trying to bring in other local business owners that, quite frankly, some of them, I don't know who they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? But now we've, created a relationship with them, and then anything that they're getting involved with, they're more likely to ask us to help them out with things too. And then vice versa. We know who we need to go back to next time. We're doing something else too. We're trying to raise money for something.
And speaking real quickly of networking, and you and I talked about this again, Belmont Bean.
Oh yeah.
I was over there earlier. I'm there about once a week. Great venue. I've conducted numerous meetings in there. It's a great spot to meet and have conversations. And, I just saw today, it's Jason and Chrissy's wedding anniversary. So congrats to those two.
Big congratulations to Jason
indeed.
over there. Yeah. And they serve excellent coffee too. Jason's a big supporter of us. They donate coffee and also work the booth at the home show and down at the 21 Turkey Salute.
That's awesome.
So, and then there's probably a couple other things I'm not even thinking about, but when it comes to, marketing and brand awareness and things, what would you say your core principles and philosophies are that guide your approach?
It just has to be all customer focused. I know that when we talk about our core business, like what you were just saying, the things that you've got going here, there are certain goals and certain metrics that we're trying to attain. When I look at all that, I figure if I do things the right way by my clients, if I do what's going to help them to get where they want to go, I'm going to eventually fill the buckets that I need to fill for myself. I try and do it that way versus saying, okay, I need this, and the other thing. Let me go try and find somebody that I can squeeze this out there to. That was the way I used to do things. I think anybody who's been in sales has probably done that. If they haven't, or if they tell you they haven't, it's probably a mistake. Right. But so I've done that. But now I'm just saying, you know what? That's not going to get me a long-term. That's more of a transactional type of deal. That's not the things that are going to get me a long-term relationship or a long-lasting client. Right. So I'm saying, what do they need to do? Is there something? Maybe there is, maybe there's not. If I can't help them and do it the right way and help them to maximize the money they're going to invest with me, then it's probably not even worth delving into. So that's kind of the way I do it. And that's the way I conduct myself. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And that comes from experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, I don't want to say it's sales 101, but I think as a seasoned veteran, as you are, with helping other companies in multiple facets in different industries and things like that. And, I know for me personally, I've relied on you heavily, for questions to be answered or ideas, and to help with that creative flow, of getting our name out there and getting that brand recognition. And one of the things that, channels that we chose was our charitable event. But on many levels, how it has helped us, it has helped galvanize our culture. Okay. With pulling together the team for such a bigger cause than just installing roofs, right? Like we build more than just roofs and windows and houses and things like that. Like we hope that we're trying to build and make a stronger community, in its entirety, whether it's, supporting other local businesses, supporting families that may need a new roof, supporting families that are less fortunate, and making sure that their food pantries and shelves are filled, and the feeling that gives our team, knowing that they're being a part of that, is much bigger than just a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It has created a brand that, it's not me anymore. It's the team that has created a brand, and those people that we've impacted or have done services for has become our brand. And because of having conversations with you, and, we've talked about this for hours. It's been a while, and I kind of miss those conversations. But with those conversations and realizing what it is that we've built here, it's much more than just a roofing industry. And it's much more than just being a marketing company that does roofing. And it's much more than a charitable company that does roofing. What it has done for the people that have come to work here and have been able to be an example for other companies that want to kind of model what it is that we're doing. That's true impact. That's real impact. That's the legacy that, creating a culture that people want to work for, creating a company that people are striving to be like. And that, like that, when we started this, that wasn't my intent.
Yeah.
At all whatsoever.
But like I've told you before, when I attend your events, and I've been over the course of the time that I've known you, it's the buy-in and the engagement that you have from your team they trust and they believe in what you have going on there, and it makes it more than just here I go into work again.
Right.
I mean, they're wearing your logo wear. Their kids are wearing, the behind the tool belt, the TC backer shirts. They're in, and they believe it, and they have fun, and they want to engage in those things.
Yeah.
And having a company culture like that, I mean, you don't see that all the time.
No.
And that is something pretty big.
In culture, now that I brought this up, because I love talking about it. And the thing that I've discovered about culture is that it's not static. Okay. It's not just there and it stays there. It kind of swerves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, here's the sweet spot, but we kind of get off over here and we kind of forget, and we go back over there and we kind of forget. So I discovered that, and several years ago, it was kind of like, all right, well, what are we going to do to like re-recruit our team? Like, how are we going to keep everybody engaged, and how are we going to make them feel like they're a part of something much bigger than just coming here to work every day? And I think that has been one of the hardest challenges for me, is like, how are we going to one up this? How are we going to one up this? How are we going to make this one more special? How are we going to get more of the team involved? Because I can kind of see people starting to fade back into the shadows and stuff like that. And like, we're getting ready to attend the Peak Achievement Awards tonight, hosted by the York Builders Association.
Nice.
And I know for a fact that I shouldn't say I know for a fact, that was pretty arrogant of me. I'm hoping we walk out of there with some awards. And when I say we, I am emphasizing the word we, because everybody that's going to be attending, now we can only bring 30 of us. And that list, we put the list out there, it had filled up within a week. Our team, from productions to operations to finance,
they're in.
The whole team, I wish more of us could come, but I was talking to Colin. He's on our production team. He's actually delivering tables out there. They asked if they could borrow our tables from the home show that we use. And I was like, of course. So I was on the horn with Colin. I'm like, are you and Stacia coming? And he's like, absolutely, we'll be there. Like it was already, and I'm sure that now he's excited. He knows what this is about. Right. And it's because of not just the awards, but them being able to attend it, not just Jana and I going out there and absorbing all of the greatness that the team, last year, Jana and I didn't even go. I think we were traveling someplace and the entire team went. Now Rocket was there and they forced him up on stage to get the awards and stuff like that. But it's because of those special moments where now it's time for me to step back and let them. And the thing is when we would have achievements and we would receive awards, I thought I was being humble by just setting them on a shelf, out in the showroom or hanging on the wall or something like that, and not posted on social media and not, let the team celebrate the win. And what I didn't realize, but then I came to discover is that I'm keeping it to myself. Really. I'm not allowing the team to celebrate in that win with us by taking a group photo with everybody holding the plaque or trophy or whatever the case was. You know what I mean? It was, and I don't know if it was out of fear, but I was thinking I was being humble, right? By not broadcasting that, hey, we're the best roofing contractor in York, Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And up until about a year ago, we started putting something on one of our billboards for the best of the best 3 years running in York County.
Yep.
And when you were talking about, viewer fatigue and stuff like that, the point of that is to switch up our billboards, because after a while, you don't even see it anymore. So we have to switch it around every now and again. But, that has been the challenge of trying to keep the team fully engaged, because yes, the 21 turkey is huge. And yes, we served 1,000 plates last year, but it just becomes redundant. It just becomes.
I will say York is a different animal when it comes to that. I don't know how much viewer fatigue comes with those best of York things, because people in York love, more so than many other places. I think Central Pennsylvania with these awards programs, people love their awards. There's a lot of pride goes in with that, and the competition is stiff. Oh yeah,
too. There's a lot of great roofing contractors in York County, especially ones that participate in these awards and things like that. And and I don't know, roofing, exterior contracting. There's a lot of us in this industry. There's a lot of people. Not exactly sure why. that is, but I know for our area I could probably list 10 between Adams, Franklin and York counties that are, I would recommend, that are participating in the same, best of the best, with us. And so that's what makes that even more special.
Ever wonder how brands like Morning Brew, Airbnb, and Patagonia became household names? On Made It, we dive deep into the raw, unfiltered stories behind billion-dollar successes. No fluff, just founders sharing the wild pivots and gritty perseverance that got them there. Our latest interview with Alex Lieberman of Morning Brew and Nick Huber of Somewhere.com is about how boring businesses are the best ways to build lasting wealth and what they are excited to build next. If you want real founder stories about the brands we love, and not just the highlight reel, check out Made It by Connor Tomkes. Thanks, guys. Now back to the pod.
The good thing about it, too, is there's a lot of, even though you're in the same space, your focuses in many cases are going to be different. You're looking at a different type of customer. You might be looking at a different type of build or a different type of roofing scenario. And so there's plenty of business to go around. And like when I look at the things that I'm doing, marketing, it seems like everybody's doing marketing now. And why would somebody contact me? And it's because we do a lot of the same things, but sometimes you just mesh better with somebody, or there's just certain scenarios to where, I might play a little nicer than somebody else, or vice versa. Somebody might play with somebody a little bit nicer than me. And that's fine. There's plenty to go around, and there's just, there's never a shortage of work for us to do.
Not if you do it right. Correct. If you're doing it right, and you're treating people fair, and you're providing value, you'll always have work.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what line of business you're in. And of course, your network and the people that and the relationships that you build over the years, if you can partner with good clienteles, good human beings, and that's been one of our strong suits is, there's people that we've done business with for a very long time. When times are good, things are great. And when things aren't so good, because they're such a rock solid company, we still tend to get through it with them. You know what I mean? It's really truly become, partnerships, you know what I mean? And I think that says a lot about a human being. It says a lot about companies too. If you can have, relationships over 10 years, whether it's a friend, marriage, a partnership, over 10 years, that says a lot about both parties.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of people can do that. Most, 80% of roofing contractors go out of business in their, first 4 years. Okay. And a lot of people don't know that. So, and I say that, to those that have made it, I big shout out to those that made it past, their 4 year mark, because trust me, I've been doing this a long time, and I know it's not easy. It's not an easy industry. There's a lot of overhead. You're dealing with the general public, it's just tough. And, there's a lot of things that we can't control, and weather's one of them.
Right.
Okay. And to try to massage, clients and homeowners and it's tough. And then to take it one step further, most businesses, I think 90% of businesses go out of business in 10 years. First 10 years. You know what I mean? So, to be in business longer than 10 years and have the same relationships that you're doing business with today when you first started out, that also says a lot about, and that's the thing. If I would, hindsight's 2020. If I would start over in another industry, I would start doing networking. Probably one of the first things I'd start doing. Now, fortunately, I did that, but unintentionally. Yeah. I joined EARN, the executive executive networking referral. Yeah. I met John Stauffer there 20 years ago. Okay. I started to just put myself out there. And again, there wasn't social media. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't all these things. And half these books that I read today weren't even around yet. You know what I mean? They're 10, 15 years old, not 20, 25 years old. Now there are some really good books out there, Dale Carnegie, and that are probably 50 years old.
That just withstand the test of time.
Yeah. The test of time, and how to win friends and all that stuff. But I wasn't reading like that back in those days. It was just kind of like balls to the wall and just try to figure out, let people know who I am. But networking and relationships have been the cornerstone to TC Backer Construction, and anything that I've ever had my hands involved with, even with Lead Scout. The relationships that we have built, the partnerships that we have built actually put us on the map today, whether it's GAF, Certainteed. Many of our partners have helped us along the way. And it's like, what I can't do by myself, we can do together.
Right.
But what are we reciprocating to them as well? You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
This isn't just a one-way street. Like, I'm thinking of, several people that we've done work for, and how many times where we've taken a loss but hung it out, stuck in there with them and just kind of waited around, and weathered the storm with them. I mean, COVID was a hard time. 2008, 9, 10, 11 was a hard time, but because of my early chuck and jive and networking of the years, 2005, 6, and 7, we were able to make it through, the Great Recession because of our partners, not necessarily anything that, or the magic wand that I waved around and got through it. It was literally because of the relationships that I had with one of the national builders that actually carried us through. And then shortly after that, I met Craig Rich with CR Property Group that also carried us through and helped us build what it is that we have today. And both companies we still do work for, an investment company and a new construction home company. We do work for both of them still today. And then the people that they know that they referred us to, we still do work for them too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of how that has blossomed into, and there's a couple other things that played into what has helped us become who we are. But really the cornerstone and the foundation of who we are today is from our partners.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because we're all here trying to establish new relationships, get new business from people, a lot of people in many cases that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the networking helps, because the networking kind of puts you in place, lets you be known by people. It's where they have the opportunity to know what you're about and to build a little bit of trust in you, because there are so many people just calling and hammering doors and knocking.
Yep.
And that's going to work because there are many people that when they do a job or they get a new customer, they just assume that the customer is not going to go anywhere with little or no legwork attached to it. It's just like any other relationship. You have to make the thing work. You have to be there. You have to talk. You have to engage. You can't just say, okay, hey, you're signed on now. We're going to do this. And then you're not going to go anywhere because we're just that good. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And they may stay with you for a while, but if they don't hear from you, they don't know you.
Yeah.
The next person that calls, especially if there's been some problem or you see something that hasn't quite worked out the way, but you haven't done anything about it. But somebody calls you. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times those representatives don't even realize that, that's going away.
Right.
And I think I've kind of done my best to get beyond that to where the relationships I've established, hey, are they always perfect? No, they're not always perfect. There are always things that can be tweaked or some things that we can adjust, little bumps in the road, but hopefully the relationship aspect of it gives me the opportunity to make things right, to fix some stuff, to keep things on track versus they just disappear and vanish and say, oh, well, that person, Bruno will notice that we're not there when there's a zero on the, on the invoice for the month.
Right.
No, that doesn't happen because I'm in touch with people. I stay and do my diligence to make sure that I'm doing right by those clients and those relationships. And that's, again,
it takes work.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
It
Absolutely.
takes a lot of work. No,
yeah.
and
I've tried to take the transaction piece out of it because that's where people are going to be impacted by the next call that comes in.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it's not to say that people don't have multiple people. Like you deal with many marketing people and absolutely nothing wrong. I just like to be a piece of that and be able to provide some insight and have you reach out to me once in a while and say, hey, what's your take on this? Which I've always appreciated that.
Yeah.
That's been good stuff. And that's one of the reasons why we continue to talk over the course of the years.
Yes.
But it's well beyond that. But that's kind of my take.
I also like to golf with you too.
Yeah. Well, you crushed me. Although I will say when I was out with my dad the other week, that was some of the best golf I've played in quite some time. I played with the same ball for the entire round. Didn't lose one ball.
Wow.
And he had even stocked up my bag with, a couple dozen balls, thinking that I was going to go through that, but it was good.
That's awesome. That is a great day. I typically stock up pretty good too. I at least get one box. It's about 12 balls and burn through at least half of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good round.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what would you say, what marketing or sales tactics, not necessarily sales, because we're kind of on the marketing kick right now, would you say that used to work or is dead now?
Boy, that's dead now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Aside from like Yellow Page marketing, which are still I still believe that there's a place for that. And when I did Yellow Page marketing, when I first got into advertising, it was kind of coming down the home stretch.
Mm-hmm.
And now what it's done is there's still always a place for it. If you can get on the back cover of a Yellow Page book or on the spine of it.
Yeah.
If it's sitting on somebody's coffee table or flipped upside down on a stoop somewhere in the middle of town and people are walking by it all the time, that's still a spot to be. Even if people use it to prop up, you could prop up the speaker here.
No doubt.
But if you're on the back,
right
there you are.
Yeah.
And so there's still things like that. But with the ingenuity and the invent of technology and things constantly coming about, AI now is a big thing, obviously.
Yeah.
So staying on top of these things is huge.
Yeah.
And having as many partners as you can to kind of keep you on track with all these things.
Yeah.
Whether it's newspapers, television. And I'll be honest, the thing I like about TV is that there's still personalities who have been on TV that sit behind the desk. They've been there for years and years and years. And the people who watch, they have developed a level of trust in those personalities. So there's that. And the people who advertise on there's a level of trust and kind of they associate it with the people they've seen on there forever. So it's fun. Yeah. But more or less it's just a matter of being one avenue for people to advertise. There's many places to be seen. You want to be seen as many of them, and TV and some of the digital components are just a part of that. Yeah, for sure. It all works. It all plays together, and it's just a matter of the creativity that goes into it. Yeah.
No, and that's a good point. And in a phone book, I mean, think about the shelf life. I mean, that thing's not going anywhere. I mean, it's going to be sitting there for years, even if it is 3 years old.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the shelf life. So that's a good point. That's a good point. What do you think most businesses are sleeping on right now and not utilizing enough?
I would say on the sales side, social media.
Okay.
I use, like, for instance, LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn all the time. I love it. I just keep it up in my background. I don't spend as much time as people think. People would think, man, you must be on there all day. I'm not. I spend maybe about 10 minutes a day on it. 10 or 15 minutes, but put my content on there. But I think that's a great way for salespeople to get in front of other people.
I agree.
And just to let businesses know what you're about before they even meet you. I think that warms up calls in a big way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been spending time more on working with my LinkedIn connections than I have really doing much else.
Do you get a lot of traction out of LinkedIn? Is that that's not dead yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I think LinkedIn's still kind of on the upswing.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
That says a lot about them because they've been around for a while. LinkedIn, man, like, is it older than Facebook?
No, I think Facebook's been around a little bit longer than LinkedIn, but LinkedIn's managed to maintain their status as a business networking thing.
Professional networking. Yeah, for sure.
Again, just like anything else, you'll start to see politics creep in there.
Boatload of spam. I get people hitting me up all the time. I don't spend much time, but I get the notifications in my email inbox. And I just delete it, man. There's just so many creeps and scammers out there, I feel. And same with Facebook. I get hit up all the time.
So that's why on LinkedIn, I use, if I'm going to introduce myself to somebody, I see too many times to where you get a connection invite from somebody. And the second you accept it, there's a full paragraph sales pitch on it. And I'm just,
turned off.
Yeah.
Right away.
Like me, if I connect with people after some time, I'll say, hey, I would grab a coffee and just have a conversation. If you're up for it, if you've got some time available, let's do that. It's not about my sales pitch and trying to squeeze people that way, because that's the quickest way to, from my network and sphere of influence, to take a nosedive. So that's kind of what I view there.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn, and I take advantage of the video feature on that as well. Yeah. The video messaging on LinkedIn is pretty good because it's at least for now, there's a small window with that.
I'm not on social as much as I used to be.
Yeah.
I just, again, I find it, I don't know, it gets me anxious, like a neurotic anxious for some reason. So, I mean, obviously we do this weekly.
Yep.
And I'll post stuff every now and again and trying to encourage the team, because you're right. Salespeople, you don't even have to be in sales to post stuff for the place that
Right.
they should be sharing stuff. But again, I think your team becomes fatigued with just sharing, because we bust out so much content. It's kind of like you just roll over it. You just scroll over because it's so much stuff that we're continuously putting out there. But you touched on AI there just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on, AI in sales and marketing? Is it overhyped? Is it underused?
It's probably underused, but that's turning real quickly, and it's almost at a scary rate. I did not think that it would be. I mean, it's progressing much more quickly than I would have anticipated. Like when you can see these live avatars now of people.
Scary.
The thing about AI always, when I look back at like the Terminator movies back in the 80s, I'm thinking, people now technology wise is somebody just sitting there. I want to create that. I want that to happen. I want to be the Skynet of the 80s.
Yeah. Right.
But I think there was a time I said that stuff's never going to even be, it's never going to be there in my lifetime, but I'm starting to change my mind on that. It's just advancing way, very, very quickly. And I think that it probably is underutilized right now, but I think it's kind of catching on to where businesses are saying, hey, we need to incorporate this into what we're doing.
For sure.
From a marketing standpoint, from the operations and sales standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many different ways that it can be used now. Artificial intelligence, I mean, buyer behavior, algorithms, and just, I mean, it can go so deep to writing blogs for you, keeping up on SEOs. And I mean, there's just so many things. And I think it's one of those things. I think there's two things that, businesses need to jump on the bandwagon right now is virtual assistants, right? I think that's something big that I think a lot of people are sleeping on right now. Especially anybody in a management position, not taking advantage of a virtual assistant and delegating things to them so they can focus on higher level things and making the business better. Right. And that's something that we've leaned into. I got an in-house assistant, but we also use SMA. I'm just going to give them a plug real quick. Joe Huffman's team over there at SMA, and AI. I think AI, don't think that your competitors aren't using it.
Right.
To some extent or form, or the marketing company that they're using isn't using it. Yep. I mean, you don't be scared of it. It is what it is. It's just like when Facebook came out, right? People were like, oh no, it's a dating website. Well, it was so misunderstood.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I mean? I even thought that. Jana reminded me of that the other day, because when I think my first Facebook account was joint with Jana. Like, I don't think either one of us knew how to use it. And I think we both thought it was a dating website, and not that we didn't trust each other, but it was just kind of like, well, everybody seemed to be doing it. And it's kind of like, all right, well, let's start a Facebook, page. And we did, but that was short lived. And I think it was shortly after her, our moms passed away. That was, almost 12 years ago now. We were like, people didn't know who, because it was weird, because my mom passed, and then 6 months to the date, her mom passed away. So we were kind of like, why don't we just, separate our, by that time we started to grasp what Facebook, it was much more. It was social commerce, right?
Yes.
It wasn't a dating website. Like, I'm trying to think of that one app that was out there before Facebook. Oh man, I can't even remember.
Oh, was it the MySpace thing?
Yeah, MySpace. Yeah, MySpace. Yeah, I think that's what we thought it was, and I think a lot of people thought.
Oh yeah.
But my point is like, AI is not the dating website or app that we thought, Facebook was. This is actually, there's so many things that you can use it for, that, either find someone that knows how to use it or knows how to dabble with it at least. Because it'll change the trajectory of your business or your content creation. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can use AI today, that I think that people need to stop sleeping on it. But
and like these platforms, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, it's just a matter of what you want to use them for.
Yeah.
You can filter out all the noise, because we are all noticing that there's all these bots now getting in there and just sending you just have to get past that. And that's just the unfortunate thing, but there's still a lot of good content on there and a lot of good information to be drawn out. And
that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes a few more weeds to go through these days, but it can still be decent. It's still a relevant activity.
What's one marketing idea that most people would disagree with, but you believe in?
Marketing idea that people disagree with.
That you don't like, you're all in on it, but you hear most people say, it's dead. Like some people might say door knocking is dead.
Oh, I don't think door knocking is dead.
I don't either, but is there something that, and I've said it just to be a dick to people like door knocking's dead, but it truly isn't. It's the oldest form of sales outside of prostitution. But it still both work. Obviously, both of them can be very lucrative. But
I was waiting for this to kind of go.
Yeah, you know me. My mind doesn't take me long to get better.
There we go.
But is there something that you've always been like, you gotta make sure you're doing this, and people have doubted? Maybe that's a better question. Is there something that you've tried to implement into somebody's company that they've doubted and it came to fruition?
It's like the social media thing and the cold calling beyond doing what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you see there the ABC 27, Good Day PA and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The TV is a vehicle.
Yeah.
But the ideas that I try and convey are not always about things that specifically ABC 27 is doing. That's just part of what we do. I just want to try and help businesses so I'll help them with the LinkedIn page, for instance. I'll say, hey, if your salespeople are not using LinkedIn, after we have a conversation here about things we're doing, let's sit down with some of your salespeople, get them set up on there, show them how to utilize it a little bit, show them how to utilize the social media, talk about maybe some door knocking techniques or some cold call techniques, because that's the big thing too. Cold calling. A lot of people think cold calling is dead. It all has to be social media. It all has to be some sort of marketing or branding. And I think that the cold calling aspect is a huge part of that if you do it correctly.
Yeah.
But you can't just make it cookie cutter. It can't just be, you have to have some sort of something that shows people you have an idea of what they're doing, challenges they're facing.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be, hey, I'm with this business. We're great at everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason you shouldn't be working with us.
Yeah.
That I think those kind of days are gone.
Yeah.
Because there's so much information available about an industry or business. If we're not bringing that to the table saying, hey, we know what some of these things are.
Right.
And I can utilize our platforms to help impact that for you and get you a share of that market.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it has to be about. It can't just be saying we're awesome.
Yeah.
You need to be doing stuff with us. It's well beyond that now. So
So
the cold calling, I think a lot of people think cold calling and stuff, you got to take advantage of all the technology. Yeah. I think that there's still room for cold calls.
I think you can even get an AI bot to cold call for you now and answer questions.
Yeah. Well, I know that I've taken advantage of some trainings with AI chatbots, versus doing it with my colleagues.
Right.
Because there is sometimes a fear or a little bit of hesitancy in doing cold calling trainings and role plays and things with your colleagues because they know what you're supposed to be saying to people. But if you do it with the chatbot, you can just be yourself. That chatbot's not going to hold anything against you. It's not going to let you know that hey, you messed up or whatever the case is. And it's just going to help you learn. So there are definitely, going back to the AI thing. Yeah. There are definitely things that you can do.
Yeah. Or even with AI, text messaging and things like that. It's kind of like cold calling, sending out all these, spam text messaging today that will actually continuously respond back to you. I mean, we kind of have something set up. I can't remember her name. There's a name. She has a name. Yep. But if people, hit us up through Messenger, our AI bot picks up until one of us can get to it. But it's literally answering their questions for them. Yeah. You know what I mean? And again, that's what I'm talking about with this AI thing that so many people are sleeping on right now. That was just one of many things that I just came to my head on how we utilize artificial intelligence to, because if we're sleeping and a message through at 2 a.m. and I'm a big stickler on like, look, we need to respond now, like not like 7:30 tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's one avenue that we've utilized it.
So that's a comfort level for people. I think when they visit your website or whatever, if they have questions, that's just sort of a little bit more personal aspect, even though a lot of people realize, okay, I'm talking to an AI chatbot or whatever the case is. But it's a level that they see, hey, this is a real business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're implementing these sort of things. This is somebody, a real player. This is not a fly by night operation.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Mm-hmm.
But then also it's great. The more lead capture you have to where you can get that information and give yourself a reason to call these people back or contact them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what these things are all designed to do. And that's all marketing is designed to do. You know, word of mouth, referrals,
Mm-hmm.
quality of work that you do. That's obviously the best marketing.
Yeah.
But all these other TV, radio, newspapers, flyers, and signs, that is all just another to support the referrals and the relationships that you have in the marketplace and the reputation and the brand that you have.
Absolutely.
And to help your feet on the street. So that's
No.
really it. But
No.
other than that, if you don't do good work,
Yeah.
you don't have a good reputation yourself.
Yeah.
All the marketing and branding you got that doesn't really mean a whole lot. If the word is on the street is that you're just no good at what you
That's
do.
right. You got to cash that check your ass has been writing.
Yep.
For sure.
And so that's one of the things, I guess, as we've been on here a while now. Time just flies, man. Being on here with you, this
it really does.
Stuff.
Really does.
But as I'm spending my time out there, out and about, doing the networking and putting myself out there, it keeps me on top of my game because just like I just mentioned, if I'm out there putting my face out there,
Mm-hmm.
letting people see me talking all this talk, and if I don't deliver on these things, that can come back. That can come back to bite me.
And you're not always going to be able to deliver. It's. I think a lot of it has to do with too, like how you respond to that if something goes wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's something because not everything's going to go over the way that it's supposed to. But I think when you suit up, show up, and take care of the issue,
you give yourself a chance.
Give yourself
to correct and work things out. Whereas, like we talked about earlier, if there's no conversation, there's no relationship. Something goes wrong.
Right.
Hey, I got enough people calling me, bringing me up to want to come in here and talk to me. Maybe let's give them a shot because I don't even really know this other person. So so there we are.
Absolutely. Before we get off here, I got one personal question for you. It's not too deep, but if you had to start all over today, okay, with $0, zero connections, what would you do in the first 30 days?
The first 30 days, I would try and find as much organic marketing as I can. How can I get my name out there? And a lot of that's just old school, just hitting the street, hitting the pavement, showing up at people's businesses, trying to get involved in some of the activities that they're doing, trying to engage them on levels of things that are important to them, not just me. And just meet people. Just meet people. Get them to kind of market and brand you with them for you.
Yeah.
And just create some good, genuine relationships. And then again, with all the technology, as much of that organic as you can do, look for as much free things as you can do. And then when you get your business rolling, then you look at the paid opportunities. What can I do to take this to the next level? What can you do to really get this rocket ship kind of off the ground?
Right on.
But to start out, the grassroots stuff, networking, get your face out there, show up at people's door, show up at their events, and just genuinely just be part of what they do, and let them know who you are and what you're about at the same time. That's it.
Yeah. Great answer. Great response.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Great response. And thank you for everything you've done for us. Thank you for coming on the show, obviously. And, thank you for everybody that is tuned in week over week. If there's anything on this podcast that you heard today that you feel somebody should know, please share it with them. Let them know. Like, love, subscribe if you haven't already. And again, thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the guests that have come on the show. Episode 281. That's like almost 5.5 years.
That's awesome.
That we've been doing this, and we've had some amazing guests. We've had some amazing listeners and viewers post comments in there and questions, and we've been able to answer and help them out. So thank you guys for engaging as much as you have. And David, thank you for everything.
Awesome.
You do.
And if there's anybody who has any questions or thinks that, I can help out or assist in any way, shape or form with some of their marketing, branding efforts, let's just have a conversation. Again, I'm always down there at the Belmont Bean at least once a week for a coffee. And I try to do my best to let people know when I'm going to be there. So, hey, just stop in and just have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Do you want to put your email or website or something what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
You can reach me on LinkedIn. That's good. Just my name, David Bruno. I got my email address, dbruno@abc27.com, or my cell phone. Just text me 949-742-1402.
Nice.
That's it.
Good deal.
This has been great, man. Thanks so much. Good to see you, Vic, as always. Thanks a lot, Ty. It's been awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for watching.